What's up, guys? This is Hammer here again, back with another video. And today, I'm going to be addressing this obsession I've been seeing that Black Americans have when it comes to Native Americans, Olmecs, Egyptians, just anything that's non-Black or non-Black African, right? And I started to see signs of this early on with folks talking about how they're the Moors, with people obsession with Cleopatra, with Black America obsession with Native Americans, right? And I thought, okay, it's not a big deal, right? But now it's starting to get to a point where you have people who are actually starting to not just believe these narratives, but actually promote them as facts. And so before I get into the video, let me make something clear. Dear Black Americans, you are not Native American or Egyptian. This whole concept that I've been hearing from the Black American community, US community, that they're indigenous to North America, or that we're not really from West Africa. These tethers and these Africans are trying to claim us. We're really Aboriginal. We're from this Native American tribe. Okay, so tell me, where's your reservation, right? What Native American tribe in the United States claims Black Americans? Where's your reservation? Where's your casinos? Because people need to remember that in the United States, right, Native Americans were given casinos. I believe Native Americans, I think, were even given reparations. So if you're really an indigenous person to the United States, where's your reservation, Black American? Where's your casinos? Where's your Native American reparation? And also another thing that you guys need to understand is, right, you can't on one hand say that you're Native American and you're indigenous to North America, but at the same time you want to claim reparations from the US government. Because remember, the foundation of this entire reparations claim for Black Americans is based on the fact that you guys were brought here as slaves from West Africa. So you can't on one hand say, hey, U.S. government, you need to pay reparations because we were slaves from West Africa, which I agree with, but at the same time say that we're indigenous or we're Native Americans. Because Native Americans already got reparations, right? They got their casinos. So it's like the people, the Black Americans who are pushing this just dumb, retarded arguments, like, don't you understand you're giving white people the justification to not give you anything? Because then they can say, oh, well, we already, if you guys are Native Americans, then we already gave, y'all the casinos. Okay? But the reality is, we all know that that's not true. So I don't understand why this has happened, but it's not just the whole Native American thing, right? Is this whole obsession with the Olmecs? Is the obsession with the Moors? Is the obsession with Egypt? And it's like, why don't I ever see the same energy for West Africa? Why don't I ever see the same energy for Mansa Musa? Why is it that so many, this is not everyone, but because there's a lot of Black Americans who are Pan-African, which is fine, but why do I see so many groups within Black America, within the African American community, that try to claim everything but West Africa? And see, the problem with this is that when you do stuff like this, it delegitimizes your argument. Because then when you actually do talk about the real racism and the real side of Black Americans face, all people have to do is say, wait a minute, you guys were claiming to be the Moors a couple of minutes ago. You guys were claiming to be Native Americans a couple of minutes ago, right? So how can you believe on this? Right? But first, let me play this video of this Black Americans supposedly saying that they're indigenous. Let's get into it.
Saying that we all come from Africa, that's the biggest damn lie. Indian, indigo, Black, natives, we the real indigenous tribe. I'm the original man of America, due to the mitochondrial E. So that means every single last race in this world come from me. So if I created shoe, how the fuck you you on my land first. Tryna claim my shit, man, up in history. My people was done the worst. You not no native, please just be honest. You really a $5 Indian. Pay $5 to take my land. You know you a fraud. You not one of them. The government changed our name just so we don't get no reparations. Colored, black, Negro, African American is what they changed our name to. We is the Cherokee. We is the air.
So, so now you guys, so according to what he's saying, right? Black Americans are not really slaves, you know, they're not from West Africa, right? They're Cherokees, they're all these indigenous tribes. Okay, so tell me, where is your reservation? If you're an indigenous Native American tribe, where is your reservation? Please, somebody tell me that. Where is your reservation? Where are your casinos? And number three, if you guys are saying that you're Cherokee, then why on the Cherokee I'm claiming Black Americans? Why? I've never seen any of these Native American tribes claim Black Americans. So why aren't they claiming you? Right? So number one, where's your reservation? Number two, where's your casinos? Number three, why aren't these tribes claiming you? And number four, if you're claiming to be an indigenous person, then that means that white people don't owe you reparations. Think about what you're saying here, right? Because look, right now we're having an entire debate about reparations in California, right? And for Black America is saying, cut the check for FBA. And look, I support reparations for FBA, I do. But when folks are saying they're indigenous to America, you actually undermine that argument. Because if you're saying that, okay, I'm a Native American, well, here's the thing though. The foundation of reparations for Black Americans is based on the fact that you guys were brought here as slaves from West Africa. That's the foundation of the argument. So if you're saying that you're indigenous in the territory and you don't come from West Africa, right, then all white people have to do is say, well, if you guys are Native Americans, then we don't owe you anything, right? Because we gave Native Americans, the reservations, we give them the casinos. It's like the people who put this argument, it's like you're undermining yourself. And also, think about this, right? If you're saying that you're Native American, that means you're literally in the worst of position. Think about what you're saying, right? Even though Black Americans, were slaves in this country, right? They at least still have a homeland. You still have an entire continent of Black people that you can go back to if you so choose. If you're saying that you're native to the territory, that essentially means that you are a completely genocidal group. That means that what? They came over here, wiped you out, and essentially you have nowhere to go. Calling yourself an indigenous person actually puts you in a worse position. Right? Because look, if you're an ADOS, descendant of the slave, right? Although you may be an underclass in the country, you will at least still have a continent to go to. But if you're claiming you're indigenous in the territory, that means you're a completely conquered group. You're a genocidal group. It's like when they make these arguments, do they not understand how bad this shit sounds? But let's keep going.
And the Apache, we is the Cheyenne, we the Califians, we the American Aboriginal Native man. Comment part 2, if y'all want me to go deeper. Tired of people saying we African when we is the original people. That's why we do not know ourselves. We really...
Yeah, you really don't know yourself if you're claiming yourself to be indigenous. It's crazy. But anyway, let's go to the next clip right here. And let's have this brother explain to us. He's a Black. Like, where is this obsession with fucking Native American shit and Egyptian? Let's get into it.
I think two other Black Americans teach about Mesoamerican history and tell you about Olmecs and all this old shit. Why would you listen to a Black American who has no credentials in Mesoamerican history tell you about the Olmecs?
Yeah, like that young Black American boy, the dude who made that video. No education, no facts, just a bunch of pictures together. But once again, you go to the comments, a bunch of FBA clapping in the chat. This is the reason why you got like that tag gets so much heat.
In Mesoamerica. Why wouldn't you go to a real Mesoamerican scholar? because the Black American, there are no Black American scholars in Mesoamerican history, but they're trying to steal Mesoamerican history. Black Americans are.
I disagree with that. I believe there are some Black Americans who do study Mesoamerican history, but once again, they're not the ones saying that Black people are Native Americans. They're not, like, all of the credible Black scholars are not saying this. It's a bunch of YouTubians or folks online. They get these massive following, and nobody checks them.
Trying to steal Egyptian history. Black Americans are trying to steal Moorish history. They're trying.
Yeah, and we're going to do that too. Why do Black Americans obsess over Egypt? Like, Black Africans don't obsess over Egypt. Even the quote unquote, even the Nilots who are in East Africa don't obsess over Egypt. It's like most of your lineage is from West Africa. Like, you're not even Egyptian. Like you wouldn't even come from that territory. But you know what? We'll go into it just a little on.
Trying to steal everything to make themselves feel better. I am, and most people listening to me are African American or Black American. That is who we are in 2021. Our distant ancestors are from West Central Africa. Nowhere else, if you're Black American or African American. Plain and simple. We descend from West Central Africans. You guys are West Central Africans who said, fuck our distant ancestors. We want something sexy. And we're going to argue about Hebrews and Egyptians for 15 years. And we're neither one of them. We've wasted time. Is what y'all done was wasted time. And guess what? The Hebrews is wrong as fuck. And the Comedics is wrong as fuck. Two niggas wrong as fuck arguing with each other about another people's culture and history. Can you imagine this? Black Americans, with their low self-esteem and their identity, have been culture vultures. And we need to admit this and move forward.
Not here thing, right? And I get what he's trying to say, and he's mostly right. But my whole thing is this, okay? My whole thing is this. You talk about how white people try to whitewash things, how they try to downplay, Black history, Black people's contribution around the world. But yet, it's almost like you purposely avoid associating yourself with the Black motherland. That's almost how it seems to a lot of people. And I think that's why the Cleopatra got from, because it feels like somebody is telling you, hey, I'm pro-Black, I love who I am, but their behavior is like, do you really believe that? Like, I have never seen Black Americans be obsessed about Mansa Musa, the richest man in human history, like one of the richest guys in history, as they are about Cleopatra. Cleopatra was not even Black. She was white. She was white Greek. But it's like they put more energy in trying to claim her than a Black man in West Africa who was one of the wealthiest in history. And it's like the only conclusion comes is that, okay, you guys, a lot of you guys say you're pro-Black, you guys are proud of who you are, but I think a lot in reality you guys are not. I think in reality you guys, I believe a lot of Black Americans genuinely feel a lot of pain about, being brought here as slaves. A lot of them blame West Africans for the situation. A lot of them feel a lot of, resentment towards Black West Africans for that. And a lot of them also feel like, Black civilizations, in their opinion, are not on par as non-Black civilizations. And all of this is what creates this environment where the only time they'll celebrate Africa is to a fictional country called Wakanda. Haven't y'all noticed that? I like the Wakanda movies, but my thing is this, like, they had more celebration and love for a fictional country than actual Black nations. But in the real world, the only real country they'll ever really celebrate is Egypt. Even though, once again, that's not really a Black civilization. And I've gone and so I've addressed the whole. Hold up, I have addressed the whole Native American thing. So now let's go to the Egyptian thing, right? it's not just that you have Black Americans who are claiming to be Native Americans. Now you have a whole faction now that are saying that they are Egyptian, even though, once again, the lineage from West Africa. So none of them have any of that in them, right? And this whole Cleopatra conversation to me is dumb, okay? Because if you want to talk about Black pharaohs, look, when you look at the kingdom of Kush, Nubia, right, there is history. There is history of Black pharaohs in Egypt, right? Like the 25th dynasties, right? There is history of kingdoms of Kush and Nubia, right? You know, go into Egypt, right? From the south. We know this, all right? There is that history. But instead of you focusing on those on the kingdom of Kush, Nubia, instead of you focusing on the 25th dynasties, the Black pharaohs there, what you guys want to do is go and claim a white Macedonian Greek. Like, all evidence shows she's not Black whatsoever. And it's like, there are plenty of examples of Black pharaohs from the kingdom of Nubia and Kush, but you don't highlight them, but you focus on Cleopatra. See, that's how we know that all of this Egyptian obsession really comes down to you want to not be associated with Central West Africa. That's what it comes down to. And I think that's just the conclusion I've come to realize, right? And then when you had this whole movement of tethers, see, all of that is just, okay, so now I know why they're obsessed with it. Now I get it. Now we know what it's about. And we got to be honest about that, right? We got to be honest about that. But see, this is what breaks my heart. Because it's like a lot of Black Americans are doing the same thing. They blame white people, right? They blame white people essentially of not acknowledging Black people's contributions both in America and globally. But it's like they're doing the same thing, right? You don't want to claim your own lineage, so you want to be Native American. Because you view that as having more value than the sort of lineage you have. You don't want to claim Mansa Musa, so you want to claim Cleopatra. Because you view that as having more value than the Black civilizations. It's like you're doing what you complain the whites are doing to you. Right, and it's not just them. A lot of Black Africans too. Have this worship for North Africans. So there's plenty of blame to go around. But my thing is this: the reason why the Egyptian obsession is done widespread, because once again, the majority of people who live in Egypt are not Black. And when you look at the history of North Africa, right, North Africa has been a territory that has had a long history of migration from the Mediterranean, from the Middle East, from even Europe, right? And so a large part of the history of North Africa, right, is that it has been mainly occupied by non-Black people. Like for a large percentage of the history of North Africa, right, is that the people who occupied that region were mostly non-Black. Now here's the thing. If you go back far enough, maybe 40, 50, 6,000 years, because we already know that, hey, back then, right, the Sahara used to be a forest. It used to be a forest before. So if you go way, maybe like, I don't know, 40,000, if you go way back, yes, there probably was a time where, the Sahara and North Africa were much more tropical, and you may have seen more Blacks there, possibly, right, if you go back far enough. But that does not change the fact that, hey, for the past couple of thousands of years, that region has had a lot of migration and influx from people from the Mediterranean, Europe, and the Middle East. And for the past couple of thousands of years, it has essentially been a non-Black region. So it makes no sense to obsess over Egypt. It does not. Right? It makes no sense. But that's for this video.
It's possible that she was an Egyptian.
I imagine her to have curly hair like me and a similar skin color.
I remember my grandmother saying to me, I don't care what they tell you in school, Cleopatra was Black.
And and this is the stuff I had to fucking deal with, right? Is that I would have conversations, because there were so many Black Americans that would tell me, oh no, we come from, it's like, how do you come from Egypt? If you and most of you guys, right, came to America, right, you reached what, Central West Africa, you have no ties to that region. And once again, for the past couple of thousands of years, Egypt and most of North Africa has been a non-black region. Now you think, if you go back far enough, maybe, I don't know, 30, 40,000 years ago, when the Sahara was tropical and North Africa was much more tropical, yeah, there may have been some black people there, possibly. But in the past couple thousand of years, maybe like 2, 3, 4,000 years, yeah, it was mostly a non-black region. So it's like, it makes no. It's literally impossible for you to come from that area, because slavery was what, maybe 400, 500 years ago. I mean, when you guys were taking from the continent, so it's like it's by that point Egypt was already non-black. So it's like claiming that Egypt, like you guys come from Egypt, is dumb to me, and especially to claim a Macedonian Greek like Cleopatra. But anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. I think I've gotten off my chest. But just to summarize, dear Black Americans, right? Please stop trying to run away from your roots of Central West Africa. Stop trying to claim non-Black civilizations. Please stop doing that. Stop trying to claim non-Black people, okay? Dear Black Americans, you are not Native American. You are not Egyptian. You are slaves that were brought here from Central West Africa, right? And you've contributed a lot to build the country. I will not tell from you, right? And you've overcome those challenges. So please be proud of that history and stop trying to claim all this other nonsense. Thank you. And remember, guys, make sure to like, share, subscribe. Hammer out.